Hello and welcome back. We have more news for you today, and I do apologize. I was going to get that Medicaid news to you, but we just saw the ruling come in on the SNAP case, and I know how much we have all been waiting for this. So I wanted to talk to you about this today. That's why we didn't even wait till our normal start time, because I'm so excited to share this information with you. So, as you know, SNAP wasn't going to be set out in November because of the shutdown, and we knew that there was a lawsuit pending that had been filed by 25 states and Washington, D.C. Well, we actually got two rulings that came in today, and everyone is talking about this, but there's a lot that is being missed in that discussion. And I wanted to make sure that you guys are getting all of the information because I've been watching these headlines roll in, and there's just a little bit missing. And I didn't want any of you to see those headlines and then think something else was happening. So I wanted to get you all the facts. So let's dive in and talk about specifically what happened. Sorry, I'm really excited right now. Okay. So like lots of different organizations got in and sued. I actually found out today there were two lawsuits. I only knew about the one that was the states that were suing the USDA in Massachusetts. But then in Rhode Island, there was this big group of cities, nonprofits, unions, businesses that also sued. And that's why we got two different rulings today. So we're going to break it down one at a time. Okay, we talked about that yesterday. We'll go ahead and skip that one. So, in the case that we have been following most closely, the one that was filed by the states themselves, U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani ruled that the move to suspend SNAP was unlawful. She said, quote, plaintiffs have standing to bring this action and are likely to succeed on their claim that defendant's suspension of SNAP benefits is unlawful. Now, you have to understand, they're seeking an emergency order here. So this isn't like a complete decision on the case. She's not saying that they're definitely going to succeed. She's saying they're likely going to succeed because this is just the first step of the process, but they're looking for that emergency order. So she had to make a ruling quickly. And she does think that they are likely to succeed with that claim. Now, she stopped short of doing what I would have liked to have seen, which is ordering that it be sent out. She said instead, basically, I don't know, I read a bunch of quotes from the hearing, and it really felt to me like what she was saying, you guys didn't understand the law. Now that you understand it, you need to go back and think about it and decide what you're going to do. Because she told the administration to report back on November 3rd with a decision about whether or not they would authorize at least reduced benefits in November. That's how she handled this case. And at first when I read that, I was super disappointed because I'm like, well, that's not going to cut it, which is why I was glad to see there was actually a second case that was filed. Because in Rhode Island, U.S. District Judge John J. McConnell Jr. issued an oral temporary order requiring USDA to use that contingency money for those payments on November 1st. Now, they're not going to arrive November 1st. Even if they sent it out, authorized it now, the states would need more time. So he said that those payments need to be made timely or as soon as possible. Those are his words. So understanding that there will probably be a delay, but his intent is to order them to send that out. He said, quote, there is no doubt that the $6 billion in contingency funds are appropriated funds that are without a doubt necessary to carry out the program's or operation. The shutdown of the government through funding doesn't do away with SNAP, it just does away with the funding of it, which makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. And then he also said, SNAP benefits have never until now been terminated, and the United States has in fact admitted that the contingency funds are appropriately used during a shutdown, and that occurred in 2019, which I was really glad to see because I've been saying since this started, what is with this reversal in attitude? because they did that in 2019 during the shutdown. They got really creative with the budget so that they could still send SNAP out on time. So I was glad to see that that was acknowledged as well. And then he also went on to say, sorry, I love these quotes. I'm just going to read one more to you. He said, "There is no doubt, and it is beyond argument, that irreparable harm will begin to occur, if it hasn't already occurred, in the terror it has caused some people about the availability of funding for food for their family." And I know you guys have felt that terror. I know I have felt that terror as we've been reporting on this, and just that absolute concern for the millions of people who have been facing this deadline with very little hope of a resolution. So I'm glad that that was acknowledged as well. Now, as part of his ruling, Judge McConnell told them that they need to report back to the court on Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern to follow up. So we're going to see a lot more news about this break on Monday, which is why I'm not going to foolishly promise you that that Medicaid video is going to be out on Monday, because even though it is ready and I want to talk to you guys about all of that stuff, this news just keeps breaking. And I think that like getting food on the table is so important for so many, that we're just keep talking about this instead. So now let's talk about that catch, because by now you've probably heard all of this good news from different outlets and channels. I found out about this like 15 minutes after the ruling came in, and there was already articles all over the place. So I'm sure I'm not the first person who's told you about this, but I really want to put a highlighter on the fine print that a lot of outlets just aren't telling you about, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that you know for sure what's going on, and you don't get swept up in any hype that might lead you to make unfortunate choices with whatever money you currently have available. So the first thing I want you to know is that, as exciting as this is, and it is good news, we aren't going to know anything for sure until Monday, when the administration has to report to the courts again and we start seeing more about what is going to happen here. The second thing I need you to understand is that although this is a major step in the right direction, the Justice Department could still appeal and put this on hold, okay? This is not a done deal. There is still a chance. In fact, as of right now, it's still kind of expected that those November benefits are going to be late, possibly very late, possibly not come at all. We don't know for sure. There's nothing final yet. And I don't want you to go through today just assuming that that money is going to be there in case it's not. Have hope. Definitely have hope. Hope is so important. I am not trying to take anyone's hope away here. I feel more hope as a result of this. But you need to understand that it's not a done deal. So the New York Times wrote, "Despite the ruling in the SNAP benefits lawsuit in Rhode Island, it was unclear if or when the money might actually reach the roughly 42 million people who rely on monthly federal help, or the amount that they would ultimately receive. The Justice Department has not indicated if it intended to appeal and did not respond to a request for comment. The White House also did not respond to a request for comment." So we don't know what the plan is, but given everything else that's been going on here, an appeal would not necessarily be surprising. Disappointing, sure. Surprising, not so much, unfortunately. So even though this is good news, we don't know if or when or how much. And I kind of want to put a highlighter on that how much as well too, because when they were going through the hearing yesterday, the Justice Department lawyers said that it could take weeks in some cases to provision food stamps this way, and that doing so may leave beneficiaries with only less than half the amount they would normally receive in a month under SNAP. So even if this situation in the courts prevails and they move forward with it, the fund, so there's two funds available that have been mentioned in these articles. The main contingency fund that they're talking about has about $6 billion in it. And from what I understand, they need about $9 billion to pay out the full amount of benefits. So they're talking about people potentially getting less than half the amount they would normally receive. I don't fully understand why they're not using that other fund that had way more than they would need, but that's a different conversation. I guess that maybe we'll hear about that on Monday. I don't know. So I want you to understand this is great news, right? This is great news, but we still don't know if, when, or how much. So we kind of have to temper that excitement a little bit. Also, just to follow up on that video I did earlier this week when we all got really excited that the president said they would figure out SNAP. Basically, he said they were going to get it done. NBC News is now reporting that yesterday, so after he said they'd get it done, but before the rulings came out. So earlier yesterday, President Donald Trump basically said that the way to solve it was to reopen the government, which is what we saw John Thune say as well. So it shouldn't necessarily be surprising, but I wanted to update you on that as well. I know how hard it is not to lose hope when stuff like this happens, and I'm trying to find every scrap and shred of hope I can for you guys. But I also want to make sure that I'm updating you when the situation changes, which is why I wanted to share that with you. So with that in mind, we've reached the Q&A portion again. Just a reminder that our sponsor chapter is giving away their best-selling book on Medicare for free to our subscribers when you sign up for our email list at the link that you see over here in the yellow. You can also, if you don't want to deal with the book is great, but if you don't want to deal with the book and you just want to talk to somebody who can look over your situation and help you figure out what plan you need to be able to see, your doctors, get your medications, and make sure you're getting the absolute best out of your plan, you can just call them directly at the number that you see down here. It's a free call. They provide one-on-one help to make sure you're getting the best out of your Medicare plan. So if you want to read the book, grab it there. If you just want to call them, go there. And now we are going to jump into the chat. Okay. I just saw that someone said there is no sound. Is that actually a thing? Because I have been talking for 12 minutes, and if there's no sound, that's going to be devastating. So if you guys can hear me okay, please let us know. If you're having a hard time with the audio, please let us know as well, because that would definitely be a problem if we've been doing this all without audio. Is that the first time you saw one like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think more people would have been saying no audio if that was a thing. Okay, so let's keep going. I thought it was MA and RI that made a ruling, but is there an expansive federal USA ruling? Okay, so what's going on? And I know this is confusing. I'm not a lawyer, but basically what's going on is 25 states and Washington, D.C. sued in Massachusetts. But it was a federal court in Massachusetts, so they had the jurisdiction. And to my understanding, any ruling that would be made would apply federally, because they're basically deciding whether or not the USDA can do what they're doing, and then that would apply nationwide, to my understanding. Same thing in Rhode Island. We had a big diverse group of nonprofits and local cities and businesses and unions and different organizations that sued in a federal court, and then that ruling, I am assuming from what I'm reading, should apply to all states. So I know it's a little bit confusing, but that's what I understand to be happening. So,
She can't hear you.
okay. Not on my end, as in there's no audio on your end?
I can hear you, and she said not on my end.
Okay, well, she might be saying, no audio issues on my end.
Oh.
Sometimes there's a double negative. So, thank you for letting us know that most of you at least can hear me okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, you guys are wonderful. I'm so glad that you guys all joined us, even though we're extra early today. I didn't want to wait until our usual time to get this news out to you, because it's both exciting, but also I wanted you to have the big picture. So thank you for joining me, even if it's not at our usual time. Okay, Deborah says, I thought SNAP is federal, not up for grabs by judges. Don't understand. Yeah, I totally understand the confusion. It's a really complicated system. So SNAP is funded by the federal government. The money comes from the USDA, which is the United States Department of Agriculture. That money is then dispersed to each individual state, and then the state administers the SNAP program in their area. So it's considered a state-federal partnership. And then from there, obviously, we have the three branches of government, which is why judges are able to intervene when the states and the federal government don't agree. That's why the lawsuit was filed, and then the judicial branch had to get involved to solve it. I think to explain this really effectively, I probably need to make a slide with a flow chart of how everything works. I have learned a lot more about those systems over the last 12 years that I've been running low-income relief than I ever thought I would need to know. And it's not exactly stuff that they teach you in school either. It's a lot more complicated than I was led to believe when I was a student.
Not
So.
a lot of people are asking questions.
Okay. PCWC says, I wonder if Halloween candy will be 50% off. So I actually saw a report that, was it Hershey's company is already having their chocolate discounted because so few people are buying candy this year. I didn't fact check that with multiple sources or anything. I just saw that and thought it was interesting. So I would assume so, but we'll see what happens. And it is actually Halloween. So on that point, I want to show you guys something really quick. Let me pull this up so I can share my screen with you. We covered this in our October freebies recap, but I know it's been many, many weeks since then, so you guys may have missed that video or not seen it. So I'm going to come over here really quickly and see if I can share something with you guys really quick. So for those of you who are new here, I know we've had a whole bunch of people just join our channel for the first time this week. We do a monthly recap where we go over all of the different freebies and settlements and stuff that can help you throughout the month. And we're getting ready to do our November one in the next couple of days. But tonight, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern, at the M&M's company is giving away free candy. So if you run out of candy for your trick-or-treaters, you can come here to their website. It's called Halloween Rescue Squad, and you can click the Fill Your Candy Bowl button, and they'll actually deliver free M&Ms to your house. And that starts at 5 p.m. Eastern tonight, and it runs until supplies last. It's done through their partnership with GoPuff, and we talked about GoPuff a couple of days ago, because they're doing this thing in November where they're going to give away those gift cards for people with SNAP. So a lot of you may be familiar with their service area because I know a lot of you were checking that earlier as we went through that information. But I wanted to show you guys this because it's Halloween and this is the day that this is happening. So don't forget that if you are passing out candy this evening for trick-or-treaters. Okay, so sorry, I get excited about all of this stuff. I love being able to bring you guys help. So hopefully that's helpful to some of you. Yeah, okay, so I saw some information, or I saw a question up here earlier about what contingency money we were talking about. The contingency fund is usually used for SNAP when there is a natural disaster. In fact, that was one of the claims that the USDA made in their, or I guess it wasn't the USDA, it was the Justice Department, made when they were in court, was that they needed that fund available for things like the hurricane. Because when a disaster hits, there's additional SNAP programs that go into effect. So the contingency fund that they're talking about is the money that's usually used for those kinds of disasters and things like that. So hopefully that clarifies that issue. Let's see. Yeah, if you guys have any questions and you want to drop them in the comments, we aren't seeing a lot of questions come in today, which may be a good thing. Maybe we've answered a lot of your questions this week. I know we've had more people than usual in our lives, and we've done a lot more lives than usual. But if any of you have any questions or tips that you want to share, because the reality is that SNAP is going to be at least late for a lot of people. So if you have a favorite cheat meal you'd like to share or any other tips on how you stretch your benefits, we'd love to highlight those so that we can help the other people who are here on the stream with us as well. So anyway, let's see. How do you GoPuff? Somebody said. So GoPuff is a delivery app similar to DoorDash or Uber Eats. So you would go to whatever app store you use and download that, and then you can sign up there to get the discount on the GoPuff. If you're talking about those free groceries that they're going to be giving out, they're going to be doing basically 2 waves of $25 gift cards. So between November 1st and 15th, I believe the coupon code is SNAP Relief with the number 1. And then in the second half of the month, it's SNAP Relief with the number 2. And then you just enter that at checkout, and that'll give you a $25 off coupon and free delivery. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. I really appreciate all of you guys in the chat, by the way. Yeah, so Sue is correct. LIHEAP is basically on hold right now. A lot of states did open applications to try to start the process on the assumption that the government shutdown wouldn't last that long. But I have seen a lot of states saying that they are delaying processing for the next month while things sort themselves out. Some states are not accepting applications during this time. It's very fragmented state by state. And I think I saw Rebecca's report cross my desk earlier today. So we should have some good information out on the website soon about what's going on with this program, specifically state by state. I also got a message from someone who said I've been pronouncing it wrong. So I want you to know, I've always called it LIHEAP because that's what the people in my area call it. I do know that it's called LEAP, SEEP, HEAP in different areas. Just like TANF, this program is known by one thing by the federal government, and then each state can kind of do their own thing with it. So that's why I say it that way. I've been doing this for 12 years, so I'm probably a little bit too stuck to try to figure out how to say it differently at this point, but I do appreciate the feedback that we get. Megan says, what's the catch? So the catch was, if we jump back over here really quickly, and you're always welcome to rewind as well if you tune in late and you miss things, but basically we aren't going to know anything for sure until Monday, because that's when everything's going to go back before the courts. Both rulings ordered the administration to come back on Monday and report different things. The second thing is they could appeal, and this ruling could be put on hold. So it's not a done deal. They haven't indicated if they intend to appeal or if they don't, but we just don't know. So we don't know for sure when those funds will be coming in or how much they will be, because we do know from the hearing on Thursday that they were saying that you may get less than half the normal amount if they use the contingency funds. So when we created this video, I just wanted everyone to kind of know, we don't know for sure if, when, how much. All of those details are still pretty vague. And I wanted to make sure that you guys all knew that, so you didn't get misled by any shiny headlines out there that may convince you to make reckless choices with your benefits. So anyway, Mommy says, is it going to be issued in November or not? So at this point, we still don't know. We know that some states are doing a fantastic job of stepping up to fill in the gaps. In fact, if you were here on our stream, let me see if I can grab the link. Yesterday we went over a list of all of the different states and what they were doing. And we have that list on our website. So I'm not going to go over all of it today just because there's so many different states and they're doing so many different things. But we are updating this on our website pretty much continuously as news breaks. And you can see we have like a state-by-state list down here of all of the different states and what they're doing to try to get SNAP out while we wait for the federal government. So if you're worried about whether or not you're going to get it, I would come check this article on our website at lowincomerelief.com first. And then the ruling says that they're supposed to send it as quickly as possible. But again, we don't know if, when, or how much the value of those benefits will be. And then, the best way to get these benefits out would be to reopen the government. And that's going to be a thing that we have no control over or foreknowledge of, because we just have to wait for our lawmakers in Congress to get together and do something. So I don't have a definitive answer on whether or not those benefits will come out in November. I am optimistic after the rulings that we saw today that we are at least headed in the right direction, right? So hopefully we'll see that come through, but I can't promise you anything for sure yet. Love Pugs says, I get rotisserie chicken when on sale. I take the chicken, make all kinds of meals. This is great advice. In fact, I think it's really interesting because we've seen a lot of changes to SNAP over the last year. And one of the changes that hasn't got a lot of attention, while states are banning, junk food and sodas, and we're seeing a lot of those waivers come in, I actually saw 2 different states. I'm pretty sure it was Colorado, and I don't remember the other one. But they filed waivers, and they're like, hey, can we just let people buy rotisserie chickens with their SNAP benefits? Because it's a great way to save money, and it's healthy, and it helps. And so, to my knowledge, the USDA hasn't ruled on those waiver requests yet, but that's actually something that some states are working on, is getting that authorization so that eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to buy those rotisserie chickens with your SNAP benefits as well. I know until that happens, you can buy them if they've like been cooked and then cooled, but those states are working on making it so that you can just go in and buy a hot one, which would be really nice. Okay, I'm already on PIP for my heat and cooling. Is it affected by the shutdown? Oh, that's been on my list of things I need to look at. So it depends. A lot of times PIP gets its funding from the LIHEAP program, and if that's the case, they may be taking some sort of action on that, but I haven't seen any news about it yet. Let's see. I will have to dig in and get an answer to that, and that's been something that's been on my list for a while, so I'll make sure to bump that up to the top, and we'll get that figured out for you, because that is an excellent question. And that was one of the first things I thought about, too, was like, well, what about PIP? Okay. Okay. And again, Judy, fuel assistance is usually part of LIHEAP as well. They help with fuel as well for people who don't have, like, your normal like electric heating and cooling stuff. So that would also be wrapped up in the LIHEAP update, where that funding is basically frozen for right now. Now, I know that's terrible. There are other ways that you can get assistance with that. So reach out to like your local community action council. Every county in America has one. Sometimes they're like tri-county or regional offices, but every county in America is covered by one of those. They would know where else you can get help. Sometimes I have found that the resource lists held by community action councils can be a little bit more reliable and up to date than the ones that 211 has, which is why I tend to turn there first. You can also call 211 or look at the 211 website. And then, of course, your standard charities that we always recommend, like Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. All of those are good ones to reach out to as well, because they may be aware of other forms of assistance that are available in your community too. So, yeah. Will they be paying back missed benefits? Ellie, I wish I knew for sure. It's going to depend on what they agree on when they reopen the government and they continue the funding. So the bills that I have seen that are currently before the Senate, and I don't think they've been voted on yet, but there are a couple of standalone bills in the Senate that would fully fund SNAP, and I believe they both, there's two of them, I know one of them does, I think both of them provide for those retroactive benefits. That gives me a positive feeling, because that means that when they do go to reopen the government, like there's already some consensus there to get them retroactive. But ultimately, we aren't going to know any of that for certain until Congress takes action to reopen the government, unfortunately. All right, bake bread. It's cheap and delicious and takes 5 minutes in an air fryer to do it. Baking bread is great, and it is actually ridiculously cheap. My daughter and I, my daughter's over here helping moderate the comments today again. She bakes bread all the time, and she does it fantastically. I did not know you could do it in an air fryer, though, so I'm going to have to look into that, because it always takes way too long the way we do it. So that's a very interesting idea. I like that. All right. Let's see, Gwendabella is saying, if you have a lot on your card, will it roll forward tomorrow? Most sources say yes. So I'm going to answer this really delicately, because I'm not 100% sure. The government doesn't even appear to be 100% sure, because most government sources are saying, yes, of course those benefits are going to roll over. And that's what makes sense to me. But I have actually seen on certain states where they're saying that those benefits aren't going to roll over and that you need to spend it before November 1st, or they don't know what's going to happen. Because of the way that my brain works and the way that I handle situations, I don't think I would personally take that risk. I think I would go buy what I needed, just because I have 5 kids and I wouldn't want to find out the hard way that I was wrong. Now, if you have a lot on your card and that's not really like a feasible thing to do, I don't know. Most sources say it should be fine, but some say it won't be. And because those are like, it's all government sources and they're not agreeing, that makes me really uneasy. I don't know if we will know for sure until tomorrow, unfortunately. Okay, Sandwiches, a good meal sliced with baked potatoes and veggies. I think I got like 6 meals out of one roast. That's awesome advice. That is awesome advice. I know I have a pretty big family, so we like to shop in bulk and then make multiple meals out of everything we get. It helps a lot with the grocery bill. Let's see. You can register to allow a neighbor or friend or family member to pick up food at the food bank for you. Ask for the application. Yes, this is awesome. You can, in most cases, authorize someone to go pick it up for you. Some food banks are doing really good about having delivery or mobile food banks where you call the food bank, you place an order, and then they like bring a bus around and then you don't have to go as far to get there. There's all sorts of creative and amazing things being done by local food banks. I live in a pretty rural area, and our local food bank has started putting up like pop-up pantries at local fire stations, which is awesome because then it's not very far from the people who need help. So even if you haven't checked in with your local food bank in a while, and you're just assuming that you can't get help because you're in a rural area or you're not mobile or there's other barriers there, I would encourage you to call them and just see what your options are because you might be surprised. I know, especially for people who are elderly, senior centers, area agencies on aging sometimes will coordinate free rides to food banks as well or other food resources. So there's lots of options there that hopefully will be able to help. So. All right, how can I get the Medicare, please? Okay, yes. So Medicare, I'm assuming most of you probably know this, but it's for those who are over 65 or those who are on Social Security disability for at least 2 years. If you get Medicare, you can download the book over here if you're interested. It's lirlinks.com/book, and that book over there has taught me more about Medicare than I ever knew before. I was thrilled when they gave me the free copy of that because it was just so informative. And it's kind of fun. Now they have a little quote from me on the cover over there, which is kind of fun. Kind of like that. And then, of course, if you have any Medicare questions at all, I would encourage you to do exactly what I do, and that's call Chapter. Whenever I have a Medicare question, they're the first people I talk to because they just know so much about it, and they have just all of these databases and this tremendous wealth of information available to them that helps them quickly and easily see what the options are, because there's like 20,000 Medicare plans out there and they have tools to like analyze all of it, and it's amazing. So yeah, there is good resources. Forever Broken says, can you get free M&Ms if you don't pass out candy? I don't know. This program, to my understanding, their goal is to basically help there be more flow of candy into the trick-or-treating environment this evening. I don't know how that works if you're not passing out candy. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. What happens if they appeal? I'm hearing a lot of talk about appeal. I can see them doing that. Yeah, I can see them doing that too, Lisa. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know. I mean, functionally an appeal is when you basically say, I don't agree with this person. I want the next authority up to make the decision. At the very least, we're talking about an impact of time, right? That lawsuit was filed earlier this week. I thought it was really impressive how quickly they got those emergency decisions out within, less than a week. They were able to get the hearing done and get the decision out, and all moved very quickly. If they appeal, I'm assuming, we're getting close to the end of the week. I'm assuming that appeal would be filed next week, and then they would have to, go to that venue and do a hearing and then continue the process. So at the very least, we're talking about a delay of time, and then obviously the chance that the new judge wouldn't agree and could decide something different, which is why there's so much uncertainty with this. And that's why I wanted to highlight that catch before too many sources framed this like it was a done deal, because it's a great first step, right? And looking, like I say all the time, I am not a lawyer, but just looking over the arguments that were made and what was said and the stuff in the filing, the Justice Department seemed to be taking the stance that they didn't know better and they just honestly believed that they couldn't do this. And, well, sure, there's money there, but we can't touch it. And so especially the judge in Massachusetts seemed to be saying, like, okay, well, now you can touch it. What are you going to do about it? Like, is that going to change your So I don't know. If they just honestly believed that they couldn't do it and now they know they could, maybe they'll just send it out, or they could appeal. We have no way of knowing exactly what that's going to mean until it happens. And I hate bringing you guys that kind of information when there's so much uncertainty behind it. But okay. Lucky says, used canned mixed vegetables from the food bank along with canned chicken or beef to make a soup. That's awesome advice. You can do so much with soups. Soups and casseroles are like the most versatile foods out there. Yeah. Let's see. Some churches are giving out canned foods the way church in San Bernardino and some churches in Texas. That's very true. I have seen a ton of churches stepping up to do food drives and food distributions right now. It's been really impressive to see that kind of response. It's been really good. Bree says, I got the codes for GoPuff, but are there codes we need for DoorDash? So DoorDash is offering to waive delivery and service fees on one delivery per SNAP user up to, I think, 300,000 redemptions in the month of November. To my understanding, you do not need a coupon code for that, but you do need to link your SNAP card to your DoorDash if you haven't already. And you need to make sure you're shopping from one of the covered retailers. There's only about a dozen different stores, I think, that are offering that free delivery. Let me see if I can grab that list for you really quickly. I think I still have it in my bookmarks here. So for the DoorDash offer, you have to make sure that you're shopping from either Sprouts, Dollar General, Schnucks, Food Lion, Giant Foods, the Giant Company, Hannaford, Stop and Shop, Hy-Vee, Giant Eagle, Wegmans, and Wegmans. That's the end of the list. Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to screen share that with you while I was reading, and it turns out I am not skilled enough to be able to do multiple things at once. So, okay, there we go. I got it up. Nope. Okay, where's that list? It's down there. So there you go. This is the list of stores that you have to DoorDash. Okay. Sorry, I think Kayla got a little distracted there for a second. You got another question? Oh my goodness. Thank you, E-Rock. That's very wonderful. And I love your sentiment there that COVID kind of prepared us. We'll make it. People are resilient, right? And one of the things that I firmly believe is that there are good people in this world and that they are doing good things. And like I said, we've seen so many churches and nonprofits and state organizations and different groups doing different things to try to patch this deficit and try to make it possible and even easy for people to still get what they need. We're going to make it somehow, guys. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I know our team will be showing up here 6 days a week to try to help you find all of the resources that are available to you. We've got several different researchers working right now, and there's all sorts of things in the works for the lists that we're bringing you. So I'm optimistic that we're going to have better news in the days ahead. So, all right. Is a purchase necessary to get the $50? I'm assuming this is the $50 from GoPuff. I did not see anything indicating that a purchase was necessary, but I will look at that really quickly because I think I still have that bookmarked too. Let's see. They're saying, you need to link your SNAP card. You've got those two codes here. Let me throw this up on screen for you guys again so that you can kind of see what I'm seeing here. So these are the two coupon codes that you need. You've got SNAP Relief 1, all caps, from November 1st to the 15th, and then SNAP Relief 2 for that second wave. Let's see. Yeah, they're only going to have 200,000 of these available. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that says purchase required. So, and I looked for that before too, because I didn't want to give you guys any false hope. But I think this is just legitimately like a credit that they're offering, guys. So yeah, so there's that. And let's see. This is Kayla's first couple of days, managing the comments for us, and I think she's doing great, but I think she gets a little overwhelmed. We've had way more people in our chat than we usually do, so let's see. Yep, we just did that one. Here, I'm going to do this one over here. Target delivery is only $5 a month with a SNAP card, and Walmart delivery is $7. That's true. You can get EBT discounts at Amazon, Walmart, and Target. We have some of those links on our website, like lirlinks.com/Amazon, /Walmart and stuff like that. I'll get you to the right pages. Those will work even without a balance on your card. That is basically when you're signing up for those discounts, you're saying, okay, here's my EBT card. Here's proof that I meet the income requirements for the SNAP program, which they then see that and go, okay, well, definitely you meet the low income requirements for our program. Sure, here's your discount. So you don't need to carry a balance to be able to use those discounts. They should still be available to you, even if they don't send benefits in the month of November. So let's see.
I think we've gone over all of them.
You think we've gotten all of them? That's amazing, because we very rarely actually get to
If we haven't gotten all of them, tell them to repost it.
All right, if you have a question that we haven't answered yet, if you could repost that, that would be super helpful. We are trying to make sure we get everybody's questions answered, but I also know, it's Halloween, and I think my kiddo's also a little bit excited, so we're going to try to wrap up a little early today. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Wow, Jennifer, you did not have to do that. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. That helps our team so much. Like, seriously, I really appreciate that. That is super generous of you. We never expect anybody to do that. I know we're here to help those of you who are struggling, so please don't ever feel any pressure to make those kinds of super chats, but thank you so much for doing that. That's been wonderful. It's it's been a pretty wild week over here, so we definitely appreciate that. Okay, Babu says, Thrive Market is really good. No charge for membership if you were on SNAP, and free shipping over $50. And that is also true. So I know we've had a lot of new people come on this week. So I want to show you guys something that maybe you haven't seen before. And if you've been here for a while, this is probably going to be pretty familiar to you. But one of the things we do at Low Income Relief is we have this list of EBT discounts that you can get just by having an EBT card. And this is going to cover, Amazon, Target, Walmart, and Thrive as well, which is what made me think of pulling this up. But, Instacart, Shipt, all sorts of different programs out there that will help you if you have an EBT card, and they are amazing. And then there's all sorts of stuff specific to your state as well. And we have all of this information on our website at lowincomerelief.com/EBT. So it's pretty easy and straightforward to get there and find it. But we have over 3,000 discounts in that list now nationwide. When I first started Low Income Relief, like 12 years ago, we had 5 things in the list. And I thought that was super cool that we had found 5 EBT discounts. And then it has just snowballed like crazy since then. So if you're interested, like I said, you don't have to carry a balance right now to be able to use any of those things. So you can hop over there and look at that list too. So, this is a great tip. If you ask a question, put a question mark first so she sees it. That would be super helpful. Or if you put like question in all caps, or I know we were experimenting the other day with like typing your question in all caps, but I think maybe people were a little uncomfortable with that because it looks like yelling. I don't know. We're not easily offended over here at the Low Income Relief team. We're pretty chill. So whatever helps make it so that it can be spotted easier. She reads pretty quick. So yeah, let's see. To get EBT discount, what all information do they need? So in most cases, especially for like the aquariums and the zoos and the museums that do admission discounts, you just need to show up with your EBT card and your photo ID for most of those. Some of them, like, for example, Amazon and Walmart, they're giving you half off their usual thing. So they're still going to want to know, your name, your address for deliveries, your payment information, that sort of thing. But they're pretty major companies, and I feel like that's pretty standard when you sign up for those services. For some of the other things, like the free phone plans, you get those through Lifeline, but you are considered eligible for Lifeline if you SNAP. So there's some additional paperwork and things like that that may be involved with those, but it really just depends on which discount you're going for, because there's so many of them and they're all organized by different organizations and companies. So there really isn't like a unified standard. But I would say for more than half of the ones on there, you just need your EBT card and your photo ID and you're good to go. Some of them you don't even need your photo ID, you just need the EBT card. So it really just depends. Baking bread isn't as cheap when you're gluten-free. Oh my goodness, you are not wrong. I have some really good friends who are gluten-free, and we tried to make them stuff, and this is one of the reasons why I'm so disappointed that you don't get extra SNAP if you have like dietary restrictions, because some dietary restrictions are just so much more expensive, and I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. It also makes it hard to go to like food banks and stuff too. Dang. Let's see. Is that SNAP for all states or just the states that sued? So all of the reports that I have been reading seem to indicate that even though it's only some states that sued, that the ruling would be effective nationwide, because basically they're compelling the USDA and saying like whether or not they had the legal right to send or to stop those benefits. So the understanding is that it's going to affect all states. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I keep saying that. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Linda says, can you tell me about the rumor online that that any food stamps left on your card will be removed on the 1st of the month? So that information, I tried to track it down because I also thought it was a rumor at first. I have seen on state websites, including the Arkansas state website, where they're saying that this will be a thing. Other states are saying that it's going to be totally fine and it's not going to be removed. Because there are official sources saying that it could happen, I don't know how to make sense of that, to be honest with you. And that's been a pretty major frustration for our team this week, because I only like telling you guys things when I'm like 100% sure of the facts. And it's hard to be 100% sure of the facts when the government can't agree. So the majority of sources are saying that it's going to be fine, that the benefits will stay on your card, there won't be any issues. My assumption and belief is that it's probably true, that they're going to stay on your card and be fine. I have been encouraging people to go spend their benefits if they can to buy shelf-stable foods anyway, just because we're not 100% certain and some sources are indicating otherwise. And I don't want to tell people it's going to be okay and then find out that it's not. So it's a very complicated situation there. And I'm sorry I can't give you greater clarity on that. I really wish that I could just be like, oh yeah, it's a rumor, don't worry about it, because that would make life so much easier. My mom used to make what's called hamburger gravy. Fry up ground meat of your choice with an onion seasoning, make a gravy sauce, serve it over toast rice noodles. Oh, that sounds good, actually. Like that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I think we're going to try that this week, because that sounds awesome. Ooh, I'm going to highlight really quick from Love Pugs. Thank you so much for writing that list out. I really appreciate that. That's really helpful. So those are the states that we're suing. And let's see. Yeah, Bree Love, I completely agree with you. It wouldn't make sense for the SNAP amounts to be removed, and it doesn't make sense for the EBT processing to go down either, because we know that TANF isn't supposed to be affected, and some states are actually giving you extra EBT cash if you qualify to compensate for the lack of SNAP. So logically, the statement that you would need to spend it doesn't make any sense, right? The only reason I changed my stance on that, and I've been encouraging people to maybe go do that, is just because there's a lot of stuff happening that doesn't make sense. And I don't want anyone to find out the hard way that I was wrong in my belief that it's going to be fine. But I do agree with you that it doesn't make any sense at all that that would be a thing. So, let's see. Rice with a can of soup makes a meal. That is very true. It's a great way to stretch soup too, because canned soup prices are going up too. But yeah, rice is a great way to stretch a lot of things. Yeah, let's see. Okay. It has been great having you help with all of this, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is, I'm with Erica on here too. I would use any money now just to be sure, but I don't have SNAP. And that's where I'm at too. I don't use SNAP anymore. I did quite a while ago. So I just know that if I was still in that situation and I was counting on that to feed my kids, I wouldn't risk it with the uncertainty that's in the air. But that may not be the right response for everybody. So I know not everybody believes in prayer. My personal belief is that if I was in that situation, I would be making it a matter of prayer and going from there. And I know that's kind of unconventional advice here on low income relief because we don't really talk about that very much, but that would be my action plan in that case. Nicey says, I'm 56 and I'm on SSDI. My questions are, why do they make you get Medicare when you already have Medicaid? Taking out. Oh, this is a great question. I am so glad that you asked this. This is an excellent question. You can be dual eligible for both Medicare and Medicaid. And a lot of people who are don't know it. So if you are Medicaid eligible, and you haven't been having to pay, and then all of a sudden you get Medicare and you're losing this money out of your check, you absolutely, Kaylee, minimize the question really quick. You absolutely need to, are you listening? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. You
Okay.
absolutely need to call these guys because they know all the ins and outs of like dual eligibility and all of the other, like there's Medicare savings plans and extra help and all these different little perks and programs that are designed to help low income people not have to pay money on their Medicare and save money. But they're really, really complicated and they can be really hard to find and really hard to navigate. And statistically, most people who are eligible have no idea how to get that help. That's one of the reasons why I was so glad to partner with these guys because they are able to help coordinate all of that and look at all the data and figure it out really easy and make it as easy as possible for you. So if you are spending money on Medicare and you want to make sure that you're on the best possible plan and you're not spending more than you have to, these guys are the absolute pros at that. So yeah, I know so many people are in that situation where they end up on Medicare and then their Social Security is going down and it just makes a hard situation even harder. So that's one of those things that I will always get really excited about pointing out because I don't want any of you to have to spend $1 more than you have to for those sorts of things because I know that the budget isn't big enough. The budget's never big enough to go all around. So Amazon's Campbell's Chunky Soup is usually less expensive than most grocery stores. Ooh, I haven't looked at that, but I am going to go look at that because the price of soup, especially like the good chunky soups, has been going up like crazy in my area. So, yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you for that. Marie Callender's chicken pot pie soup is delicious. I love chicken pot pie. I did not know there was a soup. That's very interesting as well. I love all these tips that you guys are sharing. This is fantastic. Yeah. Oh, Brie Love says, my hubby and I were both dual covered, and then when we got the small COLA, we were over the limit or allowance, so that's tricky. That is tricky. That is so frustrating that that happens. So one of the things I've noticed in the years that I've been running low income relief is we have all of these different measures of what constitutes poverty, what constitutes income limits, and they're all kind of adjusted at different times of the year. I know that the income limits for Medicaid are adjusted as well. It might be interesting looking at that again and seeing if you might be eligible now. I don't know how long it's been since that became an issue, but it would be interesting to just look at that again and see if there are other options for things that might be able to help you save, because there's just so much. Okay, Nicey says, is it true that you can't have Medicaid and Medicare? That is not true. You can have both. It's called being dual eligible, and there are all sorts of duo plans out there that can help you if you are dual eligible for both, and some of them have some pretty cool perks. So once again, that's something Chapter would do fantastic at helping you figure out. Yeah, and you can see here we got other people who absolutely can have both at the same time, which is awesome. Mama Crafter says, I decided to hand out little goodie bags with ramen and juice boxes and cookies instead of candy for Halloween. That is awesome. I know we took our kids to a trunk or treat here just a couple of days ago, and all of my kids came home with a pack of Top Ramen, and they were so excited. More so about the Top Ramen, I think, than anything else than they got. So that is a fantastic thing that you're doing. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. I will mix and match my soups. I can smoke meat so dry it lasts 5 years. Oh, that's amazing. I would be very interested in seeing that. That's awesome. I want to point this one out too. So, SNAP is distributed throughout the month, so not everybody gets it at the beginning. Some people get it in the middle of the month, and that is true. A lot of states do distribute it on the 1st. Some states distribute it all the way up until past the 20th of the month. It's really interesting how they choose to do that, and they all pick their own different ways of deciding who gets it when. Depending on what happens here with the lawsuit that we talked about today and other things, the people who get it earlier in the month are the ones who are most likely to face delays, right? If they decide in mid-November, it's possible that people who get it later aren't going to be affected by delays. We don't know what's going to happen, so we can't predict that. But a good chunk of people do usually get it on the first, and especially within the first 5 to 10 days of the month. So it just really depends on where you live and how they're choosing to distribute that. So. All right, what about those that get SNAP but not TANF? Do they still get the assistance to replace the SNAP? So we have those articles on our website that kind of talk about what's going on. And I spent so much time yesterday going over and trying to find like every possible option. And one thing that we noticed, here, let me pull this back up. One thing that we noticed is that, so I guess I need to back up a little bit. SNAP is usually funded by the federal government, and TANF is too, but the way they're funded is different. So the money that comes from SNAP is like, okay, here's your food money, pass it on. Whereas the TANF money is like, okay, you can use this for lots of different things. You decide what you're going to do with it. So when it comes to SNAP, a lot of states have pretty limited options. There are some states here that are taking action to try to replace it for as many people as possible, right? So like Arizona is doing this $30 voucher, and San Francisco is going to be sending out prepaid gift cards and things like that. But a lot of states, I need to get this one moved over because technically Hawaii uses a TANF too. A lot of states have more flexibility in what they can do for the TANF program instead. So we have a different list that talks about what different states are doing. Like Rhode Island is increasing theirs. I think it was Ohio is effectively doubling theirs. And those, unfortunately, will only be able to go to the TANF families and those that qualify for those special programs. But in this list, you can see the ones where the states are going to be able to help more people. But that's more limited because then that has to come out of the state budget. So I think that's why more states aren't doing it that way. Anyway, hope that helps. Sorry, I know sometimes I ramble. I have way too much information in my head about some of this. With less than poverty level income at a below 65 Social Security retirement, is Medicaid, Medicare available? So Medicaid is available to anybody who meets the income limits. And my general philosophy is you should apply because the worst they can do is tell you no. Medicare, I think, I would refer you to chapter on that. I would assume so. That seems like that should be available to you. But again, these guys are the Medicare experts. Isha, thank you. Yes, the YouTube channel Southern Frugal Mama is great for finding cheap recipes, as is Julia Pacheco. There are a lot of great food YouTubers out there. I am admittedly not one of them. I love to cook, would not even know how to go about starting that kind of a channel, but I do admire those that do. So there are all sorts of amazing channels out there that can help you if you're looking for good, cheap recipes. So to store rice, place rice bag in freezer for 24 hours, take out, let the bag come up to room temperature. Oh, that's interesting. I've never done it that way, but that is really interesting. I'll have to look into that. Thank you, Love Pugs. Let's see. A lot of you are explaining how your states calculate when you get SNAP, and it is A lot of you are getting the facts absolutely right, and it's so varied because some states do use the last digit of your social security number or the day you applied or whatever. DSNP plan. Let's see, I have a lot of acronyms in my head. Let me see, I want to double check really quick. Yes. Dual eligible special needs plans. Those are a type of Medicare Advantage plan for people who are dual eligible. So there are lots of different options when it comes to those. But again, Chapter would be the best one to talk to because they can look at all the options and help you figure out which one's best. Yeah, here, Kate got it. You guys are so good at answering each other's questions in the chat. I absolutely love you for that. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's dual special needs plan specifically for Medicaid and Medicare. So very cool. Okay, Kinga Kong is saying, what is TANF? So it stands for Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. A lot of people know it by EBT cash. Lots of different states have different names for it. Cal Works, Ohio Works First. Each state kind of just calls it their own thing. Some of them call it general assistance or temporary assistance, or it's got so many different names. I really should have a list put together that we can bring on screen when we bring it up, because I know not everybody recognizes it by the name TANF. That's what I call it because that's what the federal government calls it, and that's where I pull most of my research. So that's probably a bad habit on my part, but hopefully that makes sense. Does TANF have work requirements? Yes, it does. It also has requirements as far as, I think, let me see. Each state does it differently too, but there are some general requirements that we can probably pull up here. So you have to be low income, you have to have a dependent child under 18 or be pregnant, and there's other things. There's a time limit on assistance. I think you can only get it up to 60 months in your entire lifetime. All sorts of other requirements and restrictions on TANF as well. It's one of the harder to qualify for programs that are out there, which is why some of those stand-in programs that the states are doing are going to be a little bit more limited in their reach than I think a lot of us would have liked. All right, Dollar Tree Dinners has some excellent recipes too. Ooh, that's good. I haven't seen that one. I'm going to have to go look at that. That sounds really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I see Miss Missy said, you okay?
Yeah, I was trying to pull one up at the same time you were, and we were canceling each other out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not used to having help, so I'm clicking on things, and my daughter's clicking on things, and we'll get to what Miss Missy said here in just a second. But Wendy said, my boyfriend is 67 and works as well as gets Social Security. Does that disqualify me from Medicaid? That would depend on the income. Medicaid is income-based, so you'd have to look at the income and asset limits in your state and then go from there. It shouldn't disqualify you out the gate unless the income is an issue. So Miss Missy says, oh, you've got a different... Okay. Ads are still cutting me off. I did make adjustments to those settings today, so that is really discouraging to hear. I have heard from other people that if you, after the ad, if you rewind it just a little bit, the ad won't be there, and then you can catch what it missed. I don't see any sort of ad controls on my end once I'm in my streaming tools. I just see my presentation and my chat, and I don't think I have any manual ability to adjust those from inside the stream. But I will see... I'll see what the options are for that, and I'll reach out to YouTube support and see if there's a way we can improve that. The comment that I saw from Miss Missy is gone, I think. Did you see it? Do you have it? She was just talking about making... Oh, here we go. I make my own soup. I throw everything in a pot, fill a lot of containers, and freeze it. Way cheaper and not salty. That is a solid way to make soup. I have done that too, and it works really well when you're cooking on a budget. It's amazing how many things can go together if you just throw it in a pot. That's my favorite way to cook because it's easy. Julie got another good tip here too with smoky chickpeas on toast, which sounds amazing. And simple tuna, sweet corn pasta. I'm going to have to go look up some recipes. You guys are seriously inspiring me. So, let's see. Do you got anything over there? Yes, so Princess Milk Chocolate, that is what we were talking about earlier in the in the slide presentation before we got into the Q&A. So for those of you who are joining in late, we do a whole slide presentation and then we do a Q&A. So you can always rewind and get back to the information we covered earlier on. The judge did say that SNAP benefits needed to be released. There's a couple of things that aren't being addressed in a lot of the reporting that we saw, but we dealt with that earlier, and I'm not going to make everybody listen to it again. So you're welcome to go back to that. I would encourage you to look at the slide presentation we put together because there's a lot of information. Got you here. But heard you say dual eligible for Medicare. Let's see. So Medicare usually comes with Social Security, disability, or retirement, I believe. I don't think it's a component of SSI. Usually if you get SSI, you're going to get Medicaid. We can do, you know what? I wonder if we could get somebody from chapter on here to answer a lot of Medicare questions. If you guys would be interested in like a whole Medicare Q&A, if you just want to let us know, I'll see if we can get another expert on here to help us out with some of those. London Dairy says that book is $12.99 at Barnes & Noble. Yes, it is. So this book that we're giving away over here is, it's actually one of Amazon's bestsellers on Medicare. And that's from our sponsor chapter, and they have generously said that we can give it away free at this link. So if you're interested, you can go grab that over there. It's a great book. It taught me a lot. So, and we've actually had Ari Parker, who wrote it, here on the channel with us to answer questions before. So if you guys are interested in more like of a Medicare type Q&A, we might be able to see if we could get him on the channel again. I make chicken curry in a huge pot and it lasts me about 6 meals. I have been searching for a good curry recipe. I love curry. I have never figured out how to make it well. I would love to get that information from you. That would be awesome. Okay. Let's see. Christine says, I make refrigerator stew when I clean out the fridge. If it's still good, it goes in a pot with seasonings. We do that too, and we call it leftover night. And my kids, we make... what is it we usually do? Nachos out of everything? Yeah. Anyway, it's a good plan.
One of them's already up.
Oh, see that? I would love a full Medicare Q&A. Okay, I will reach out to them when we get off of here and see what their schedule looks like and if we can coordinate something, because that would be awesome. I always want to make sure that I'm giving you guys like 100% accurate information. And it's hard to do with Medicare because there's so many different plans and there's so much out there and it's so overwhelming, which is why I'm really happy to have a phone number I can just point to with somebody who knows all of that information. But we've been able to get him on the channel before and we'll see if we can do that again. So is there a way to get low cost or free eye exams? Yes, there is. Let me see where our list is for that. So when it comes to low income stuff, like this is why we do what we do. We're here to help with all the things. So I want to show you guys something really quick. When I started, I was just doing the website. And so we have all sorts of resources on our website that we haven't turned into videos yet. And that's part of what our team is currently doing, is going through and like getting stuff prepped so that we can make videos and things. But if you go to low income relief and you search for eye exams, we've got stuff on how to get free eye exams, free glasses, all sorts of different things. And you can always come up here and let's see, the search bar isn't showing up because I've got that banner over the top. So maybe if I go like that, you can just click the little search icon on the top and you can type in anything you want and it'll see if we have an article on it on the website. So hopefully that makes sense. What? Oh, you shared the link to it already? Look at you go. Isn't it nice having Kaylee here to help us out? She's like on this. Dang, girl, I'm impressed. Very grateful for you. Okay. Yeah, many people are on board with getting the curry recipe in the comments. If you feel like sharing, I think we would all appreciate that. So that would be awesome. Let's see. Yeah, Green Jewel says, I think the news is hyping hysteria. Honestly, I feel the same way. I am in the headlines for hours and hours and hours every day trying to figure out the facts of what's going on with all of these different programs. And it's getting harder and harder to find truth. And I've been doing this for 12 years, and I have never in my life had a week like this week, where it has been so hard to get the facts of the situation, either because the headlines are just overhyped, or the articles are missing key pieces, or there's a lack of nuance. Like I saw a lot of headlines saying, oh, well, New York is going to replace SNAP. But then after substantial digging to find the original sources, it's like, no, they're donating a bunch to food banks. That's not quite the same thing. It's a really tough time, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And we're always going to try to do our best to get those original sources, bring you the information you can trust, hopefully in a way that isn't going to be like overblown and stressed out and crazy. Because I'm a person and I don't want to deal with that kind of drama in my own life either. And I certainly don't want you guys to have to. But yeah, I mean, you have my absolute sympathy because I agree with you. I think the news is just being a little crazy lately. Is there any way to get hearing aids? Yes, there is. So in addition to the link that Kayla's dropping in the chat, I love this. You guys are asking questions and she's over here like getting it done and dropping those links in the chat for you guys. We have a video coming out soon on hearing aids. It has been scheduled in our queue for a week now because we had it ready and then there was breaking news and then there was breaking news and then there was breaking news. So as soon as something crazy isn't happening in the world, we'll be able to get that out. And if it takes too much longer, we'll just put it on the Fast Facts channel to get that information out to you. But we have found quite a few resources that can help with hearing aids as well. And if you have requests like this, like you aren't, like there's something that you guys need, let us know. We're happy to research it and make a list for you guys and try to get that information to you. I know it can be really hard to find what you need. And so, yeah. Back to Common Sense says, there's so many curry videos on YouTube, just so many you'll find it hard to choose. I've tried and I've made like 5 of them and they're always bad. Maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't have the skills to make curry. That's entirely possible. I will. Thank you. That's amazing. I appreciate it. You're the best. That's awesome. Okay, let's see. A lot of you are expressing hope that SNAP will be released, and I'm hoping that it will be. It's never not been, you know? Like, it's never not been, and I can't imagine, like, I really hope we don't have to see what that looks like if it doesn't happen. Yeah. Okay. I don't even know what she's doing over there now, but she's all sorts of busy. Oh, sweet. I see what you're doing now. Got it. All right. Let's see. Abby's saying, with today's court order to release EBT funds, how long will it be until the funds are released? That was one of the catches that we talked about a little bit earlier, is that we just don't know. They could appeal. They also said in the hearing yesterday that it would take weeks to figure out how to do that. So we have no sort of timeline. But I am hopeful that this ruling was a step in the right direction to get those benefits out so that people can, get the help that they need. And we're hoping that it will not take long. I heard someone say something about a healthy food card. Do you know what it is? That sounds like a Medicare incentive to me. We see a lot of healthy food cards, grocery cards, OTC cards, and things like that. And they're often advertised around this time of year because we're currently in open enrollment season. So everybody can look at their Medicare plan, reevaluate it, and choose a new plan between October 15th and December 7th of every year. And during that time, all of those companies go crazy advertising and trying to get people to sign up for different plans. So I know we've heard some good things from people in the chat lately who are getting those kinds of benefits, and it's kind of helping tide them over through this SNAP crisis that we're seeing. My assumption is that the healthy card you heard about was probably related to that. If anybody knows about a healthy food card that isn't related to Medicare, I would be very interested in hearing the details on that and doing some fact checking too, just to see, because we're always looking for new resources. I know, I guess the only other thing I could think of that this might be, if it's not Medicare, would be some sort of like double up food bucks incentive. I know a lot of states have a program that will like double your SNAP benefits, and sometimes you get the rewards in different ways, and maybe it could be tied to that somehow. But my assumption is that this is probably a Medicare question. And again, these guys down here at Chapter would be the right ones to ask because they know all the incentives and perks and different things that are going on all the time. So, all right. Will my Flex card still work and receive its benefits? Yes. Flex Card is another one of those insurance-related incentives, and it's not tied to SNAP. It's not funded the same way. That's going to be coming through your health insurance, and Medicare is untouched by the shutdown, so it should still be fine. And then, of course, if you're interested, you can talk to Chapter, and they might know if, like, because I know some people have said that their incentives cards are going to be decreasing next year because a lot of plans are making adjustments and cuts and things. But that's always a question for Chapter. They know what all the different plans are doing. So, alrighty. What else do we got in here? Yeah, so this was my first question too, Lisa. New York is giving like $106 million in extra support to food banks, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. Food banks do an amazing and important work, and they absolutely need that support. But I know that there are so many people who can't get there, right? Either because of disabilities, or they're homebound, or they don't have transportation, or they work during food bank hours. There's a ton of reasons why people can't get to those food banks when they're open. And the answer is, I don't know, unfortunately. I do know that organizations like DoorDash have stepped up to say that they're going to help deliver food from food banks and things like that. Probably not enough to meet the demand, but at least it's a step in the right direction. I know there's a lot of effort to do, mobile food banks and local distribution sites and things like that. So I'd recommend that anybody who's in that situation where you're worried that you're not going to be able to get to your food bank, I would encourage you to at least call them and see if what their options are and what they look like. Sometimes local church communities can be really good about going and helping you coordinate food too. I know in my church, a number of years ago, we had somebody who couldn't make it to the food bank, so somebody just went with her every week to help her get there. I know not everybody is going to be able to do stuff like that, but that's another option. There's good people around the world that are willing to help. Sometimes it's just hard to find them. You got another one? RI as in rate exchanges. When I was saying RI earlier, it was Rhode Island. I'm not entirely sure about this question, though. Maybe I'm missing something.
I meant the
Okay.
I've answered a lot of the questions.
That's fine. Pat Glass says, if SNAP benefits have been allotted for the month of November, I don't see that they can take those away from you in November. So what happened is Congress hasn't appropriated the funds for SNAP for this fiscal year. The fiscal year changes, in October, on October 1st. And what they said for October was, well, all the benefits were calculated in September. All the information was sent to the processors in September. So we have to pay October because it's already like moving through the system. And then for November, it was calculated in October. And then by October 10th, the federal government told the states not to send it to the issuers. So in most cases, to my understanding, the amount of SNAP benefits has been calculated. They know who's getting it. They know how much they should be getting. All of that data is ready to go, but it hasn't been sent to the processors to put the money on the cards, and it's just been stuck there because the USDA told them to basically freeze the system and not move forward. So strictly speaking, it hasn't necessarily been allotted, I guess. It's been calculated, but that's at least the argument that the government is making in this situation. So I really liked what the judge said about, the program's at risk because of a lack of funding, not because Congress said the program shouldn't exist, basically, right? Like, it still exists, therefore, this is an emergency and the contingency fund should be available. So, Spider-Man is saying, I know some in California have transportation set up as far as food banks go, and that's awesome. We've seen a lot of food banks stepping up to kind of get that coordinated. So, Carlos is asking why I say so much. That's just a bad habit of mine, and I'm working on it. Usually, my wonderful editor, Mia, is able to cut all of that out of our videos so that you don't hear it as much when I'm not live. But when I'm live, it happens a lot, especially if I'm trying to think while I'm talking. Multitasking can be difficult, especially when I'm trying to draw on facts and things. So, yeah. Oh, yes, this is a great question. Kayla, can you grab the link for the Fast Facts channel really quick? Do you know where to find that? All right, yes. So for those who didn't know already, we do have a second YouTube channel. It's called Fast Facts by Low Income Relief. And my awesome daughter Kaylee is going to drop that link in the comments for you so that you can find it. But that's where we put videos that aren't necessarily, either we have too many videos to put out so we can't fit them all on this channel, or they're state specific, or they're more niche things that people aren't going to, that this audience necessarily wouldn't watch a lot of. So anyway, if you want to go check out that second channel, it's a great way to get extra help. I think we're probably at about the time that we need to get going, because I do have kiddos who are waiting on me for their Halloween adventures. So how are we doing? Do you think we good to go? All right.
Well, we should ask if they have more questions.
Well, if you have any more questions, we probably have time for maybe like one or two if we get them in quick. I know yesterday as we were signing off, we were both really sad to see somebody ask, wait, I have a question, like right as we were like ending the stream. And we felt so terrible we didn't get to that one in time. So if there is, if there is something that you want us to, oh, thank you. Thank you for subscribing to that second channel. That really helps. We're hoping to get more videos up there very soon too. Our team is expanding and we're trying to get a lot more out for you guys. So yes, thank you, Wendy. Happy Halloween to all of you. I hope you're able to have a wonderful night. I know it's a very stressful night as we come up against that November 1st deadline, but we'll definitely be thinking of all of you. So when the government reopens, will my SNAP benefits automatically resume as it was before? That is the theory. The funding issue is basically saying, you know, well, we don't have the money to send out, but the states are still processing the applications. They're still managing the program. So the assumption is that as soon as the government reopens, the funding is appropriated, the money will be given to the states will get it out to you. Kansas has estimated that it would take about 3 days to get from the go-ahead to getting the money on your card, and it should pick up and go on as before. But a lot of that will depend on what Congress decides to do as they reopen it. So some of it is still unknown until they start making some decisions, which hopefully won't take much longer, because I think you guys are probably all about as tired of this as I am. So anyway, let's see. When I've watched TV news, they've reported food stamps are running out. Does that mean some recipients who receive benefits in the food stamps and some may not? So basically what's going on is the contingency fund that is at the issue in these lawsuits that we discussed earlier has not quite enough for everyone, the usual amount they would send out. So as part of the lawsuits that happened earlier today, they're saying that maybe everyone would get less. Somebody in the Justice Department said maybe a little bit less than half of what you usually get. But this is only an issue because there was no appropriation for the next fiscal year. They didn't pass a budget in time. They didn't pass the spending bills. So strictly speaking, Congress didn't give any money to the SNAP program for this upcoming year, which is why we're running out. When the government reopens, they're supposed to reappropriate everything. Food stamps is part of the law, so that would be one of the things that they would need to appropriate money for. And then it shouldn't be running out at that point in time. It's just because of the government shutdown that's an issue. But hopefully that makes sense. Kinga Kong says, what is the second channel's name? It is Fast Facts by Low Income Relief. I had originally intended it to be a channel where we only published like shorts and things like that, but now we do long videos there too, so maybe I should rename it someday. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Thank you for all of you who are being so kind about my by the way. I really appreciate that. I've gotten really self-conscious about it over the last couple of months because people talk about it a lot. And there I go, umming again. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys. It's not stopping me from being on here anyway. I'm learning how to do hard things. So, okay, are they still accepting new SNAP applications? I have yet to apply. It depends on the state. Some states have decided to freeze the processing of new applications. Others are still processing it. So it just kind of depends on where you're at right now. As soon as the government reopens, my assumption is they'll be processing those. As far as could you apply today and get it when the court ordered thing happens, if it happens, I don't know if that would work because to my understanding, they've already like calculated who was supposed to get it in November. And then the new application would be a separate thing. So I don't know if that would quite work. I don't know if it wouldn't, but I don't know if it would, if that makes sense. Okay. Now I'm noticing it every time I say again. So that's awesome. It's going to make me giggle. Forever Broken, Forever Lost says Anthem Medicaid has an OTC card. And yes, if you have Medicaid, please go read the details of your plan. Many of those Medicaid plans do have over-the-counter benefits. They're usually valued somewhere between like $25 and $35 a month, and they do not roll over. So if you don't know they exist, you're just not going to get them. But if you know they exist, then you can be intentional about using them every month, and it's a great way to get those over-the-counter needs. I've seen some really phenomenal stuff in Medicaid plans that people just don't notice is there. So definitely go read over the fine print and find out if you get an OTC card, because that can make all the difference. Okay. Sorry, little confab over here. She's whispering at me. Let's see. Oh, that's a good idea. We should totally put the Fast Facts channel in the descriptions of our videos so that people can you remind me to do that when we're off of here?
All right.
And then we can get that done. That's a great idea. Oh, thank you. You guys are so nice. I appreciate you. Let's see. Seeing some interesting comments about Social Security, so I'm going to go dig into that and find out if that's true right as soon as we're off of here, and then if I can confirm that, we'll definitely do a video on that. Okay. Let's see. Alrighty. Okay, well, I do definitely need to get my kiddos out to do their Halloween thing, or we're going to have a riot at my office door here. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here with me today. I know we have gone over a lot this week, and I know it has been a very wild week as far as news is concerned. I hope we're ending on a more optimistic note with this ruling, and I know that whatever happens tomorrow, it's probably going to be hard, but we'll still be here for you. We have a video coming out tomorrow. We usually don't put videos out on Sundays, but we do them 6 days a week, and we're usually here at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, but we went early today because of the news that broke. But I appreciate all of you. You're in my thoughts, you're in my prayers, and we will be back soon with more ways that you can save money.